Right after Grandpa's passing, I received a call that shattered everything I knew. My mother's voice sounded cold, detached, unfeeling. She assured me that Grandma was fine, that she would figure something out. But when I returned home, the reality was starkly different. Grandma was locked out of the house she had spent a lifetime building, clutching only a suitcase and eyes filled with sorrow. She was trembling, alone, betrayed. That moment ignited a fierce resolve within me. I vowed they would pay for what they did. Their actions, masked as legal rights in the name of inheritance, would cost them everything. This wasn't just about property. It was about cruelty disguised as legality. What unfolded next would redefine our family's legacy forever. My name is Jordan Turner. I'm 28, a freelance architect working in Seattle for the past year. I was raised by my grandparents, James and Evelyn Turner, in a cozy Victorian house just outside Portland. My parents, Elena and Craig Turner, were too busy climbing the corporate ladder and hosting charity luncheons to raise a child. When they weren't ignoring me, they lectured me about my supposed lack of ambition. Grandpa James was a stern yet fair man, a former high school history teacher who believed in hard work and dignity. He loved his wife dearly and was deeply involved in the community. Grandma Evelyn was gentle and wise, the heart of the family, renowned for her kindness and legendary apple pie. Their house was my sanctuary, filled with the scent of cinnamon, old books, and warm blankets. Every Sunday they hosted dinners that brought the neighborhood together. But everything changed when I left for Seattle. I kept in touch, but I sensed something was off. Grandma's voice was hesitant, guarded. She never told me directly, but I noticed the subtle signs. The brief conversations, the change in tone when discussing Mom and Dad, the way she quickly dismissed concerns about Grandpa's declining health. Grandpa James had fallen seriously ill months before I returned. I offered to come home multiple times, but Grandma insisted I focus on my career. "He'll be okay," she'd say, her voice trembling. When Grandpa passed, I didn't hear it from her. I found out through a neighbor's Facebook post. That betrayal hit hard. I booked a flight home immediately, heart pounding, mind racing. When I arrived, the house seemed colder, emptier. The garden Grandma had nurtured with pride was overgrown. Lights were off, windows dim, like a ghost had swept through and taken the warmth with it. And then I saw her. Grandma sat on the front porch, wrapped in a ragged coat, a suitcase beside her. Her eyes locked onto mine. She tried to smile, but her lips trembled from the cold. Her hands were red and raw, her frail fingers trembling. "Grandma," I whispered, rushing to her. She tried to stand but stumbled, and I caught her just in time. "What happened?" I asked, voice thick with concern. She looked away, tears glistening. "Your mother told me I should grieve somewhere else. Said this house isn't mine anymore." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean? Grandma, what's going on?" She explained that my mother claimed Grandpa's will left everything to Dad because he had inherited the house. That she, Grandma, had to leave her home of 50 years, her life's work. Inside, I found the locks had been changed, her name removed from the mail, photographs replaced with images of my parents, smiling without a trace of Grandpa or Grandma. I stormed into the living room, furious. "You kicked Grandma out? She's lived here her entire life." Mom, sitting with a glass of wine, looked up calmly. "She doesn't own the house anymore. Dad left it to us. It's ours now. Grandma built this house with Grandpa. She's not legally entitled to it." I shot back. Dad, adjusting his Rolex, smirked. "It's true. He left it to us. We need the space, planning to remodel." Hatred surged through me. That night, I took Grandma to a nearby hotel, promising to fix this. But I knew fixing it wasn't enough. I had to dismantle what they'd built, turning her sanctuary into a prison. I refused to let them get away with this. I began my investigation as meticulously as designing a building. I dived into land deeds, bank records, tax filings, even safety deposit box logs. The original deed from 1972 listed both Grandpa James and Grandma Evelyn as owners. Grandpa had taken loans in both their names to pay off the mortgage and improve the house. But in recent years, everything changed. My father had convinced Grandpa to draft a new will while he was ill and confused, leaving everything to him. Not just the house, but bank accounts, retirement funds, even Grandma's jewelry. All of it. But I remembered something Grandpa told me as a kid while planting tomatoes. "No matter what happens, I made sure your grandma will always be safe." I knew there had to be a secret. After weeks of digging, I found it. Hidden in a safety deposit box registered to Grandma was a second deed, untouched and unrevoked, naming her as co-owner of the house. Alongside it was a trust Grandpa had set up secretly for Grandma, worth nearly $2 million, to activate upon his death. And there was more. A handwritten letter from Grandpa to his attorney warned that he suspected Craig and Elena were trying to manipulate him. Grandpa left clear instructions. The original deed and trust must remain untouched, regardless of the new documents. Armed with this evidence, I contacted a trusted attorney and filed a quiet lawsuit, keeping it discreet. I didn't tell my parents, letting them believe their plans were succeeding. Simultaneously, I arranged to buy the house quietly through a trust, using Grandma's own funds. Within 3 weeks, the house legally belonged back to Grandma. A week later, I invited my parents over for a family dinner. I was ready to face whatever came next, but I knew I had won. Justice for Grandma was within reach. They entered like royalty, filled with arrogance and entitlement. They casually remarked on how the walls could use a fresh coat of paint and mused about installing granite countertops soon. Grandma sat quietly at the kitchen table, her hands folded, her face unreadable. I placed a manila envelope on the table. "What's this?" my father asked, picking it up. "Eviction notice," I replied calmly. They burst into laughter. "You're joking, right?" my mother said. "You're evicting us?" she added, disbelief in her voice. "No," I said firmly. "Grandma owns this house now. Wiggly. You have 48 hours to leave." My father's face went pale. "That's impossible," he muttered. I pulled out the deed, the trust documents, and Grandpa's letter. "This is all legal, airtight. And if you resist, we'll sue for elder abuse, fraud, and emotional distress." They stood up, shouting and cursing. My mother threw a wine glass against the wall. "Think you can take everything from us?" she screamed. "No," I said, voice steady. "You already did that to Grandma. I'm just giving it back." That night, for the first time in decades, Grandma slept peacefully in her own bed. My parents fought back, hiring lawyers, filing motions, but they had no grounds. The court upheld the deed and ordered them to pay over $500,000 in damages for bad faith and attempting to suppress Grandma's rightful ownership. They were forced to sell their summer home. Their bank accounts were frozen. Their reputation was shattered. And even their so-called friends disappeared. 3 weeks later they returned. I heard the knock early in the morning, mist clinging to the garden. There they were, kneeling in front of the house, crying, begging for forgiveness. I opened the door. Grandma stood behind me. "I have nothing more to say," she said simply. "May God forgive you." "I'm not sure I can," I replied. She turned and walked back inside. We restored the house to what it once was, warm, vibrant, alive. Grandma resumed her garden. She hosted Sunday dinners again, this time with neighbors, friends, and those who truly cared. She used part of the trust fund to establish a scholarship in Grandpa's name for underprivileged students pursuing teaching. A tribute to the man who never stopped giving. As for my parents, they moved into a cramped apartment in a forgotten part of town. No one visited. They became ghosts. Revenge wasn't about fire and fury. It was the quiet reclaiming of dignity. And I stayed. I built my architecture firm nearby. Every morning I shared coffee with Grandma on the porch. Every night we turned on the porch light just like Grandpa used to, because family isn't just about blood. It's about love, loyalty, and who shows up when everyone else walks away. The end.